Yo YouTube, it's Take Takes. We tapping back in. This video, I want to talk about a little about the LA Lakers, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook. All of the drama that they got going on, and ultimately what they're going to be able, what are they going to do, before the training camp starts to, put themselves in the best position to be playing in June and to ultimately hoist the NBA Finals championship or a trophy at the end of the year, right? Like I said, this video is a lot to unpack. So let's just go ahead and start off with LeBron. LeBron doesn't want to play with Russell Westbrook no more, right? He's made that abundantly clear. And obviously it seems as though it's vice versa. Russell doesn't want to play with LeBron no more neither. But at the end of the day, LeBron is the one who, sits on the throne. He's the one who holds the power. He's the one they're going to side with, and he's the one that they're going to keep, right? And that's if most people would agree with that, and that's just what it is. Ultimately, LeBron, though, he doesn't believe he can win a championship with Russell. He doesn't believe that Russell make winning plays. He doesn't believe that Russell is he doesn't contribute to winning on the defensive side, on the offensive side. You know what I'm saying? He commits a lot of turnovers, and he's just not bringing enough to the LA Lakers for them to be a legit contender right now, right? Especially with the name that he came in with. Russell Westbrook, the last 4 to 5 years, this guy was a triple double machine, right? And obviously we expected much less from him this year, being as though he's playing alongside LeBron and alongside AD, right? We expected much less from him, but we did expect for him to be a high quality player at some sort, right? Especially with him having the chances of not having LeBron in the lineup, a lot of these games, and same thing with AD. AD wasn't in the lineup for a lot of these games. So with that being said, you can definitely be the second option. You know what I mean? If you would have had to be the third option, I can see that had being a problem. But for majority of these games, you were not the third option, and you was the second option actually. And even some games they even tried to go to you as the first option, and you had a couple opportunities to be the first option with LeBron and AD being out. And really, when those games came around, it didn't look pretty at all. So at the end of this, LeBron just was not happy with what they had going on, right? And ultimately their relationship soured over the year, and it never seemed as though it actually ever clicked. You know what I mean? They never was able to get anything rolling. It was never able to get anything going. And it quite frankly, it was over before it even ever started. Nobody expected this fit. Nobody expected it to be a good fit, by no stretch of the imagination. But I guess they thought with all of the star power and high level IQ players, they thought they was. We know LeBron is, but they thought they would just be able to make it work, and unfortunately they wasn't. And at the end of the day, it's time to move on. That brings me into the LA Lakers, right? They have to be able to be willing to give up the 27 pick and the 29 pick, right? The 2027, 2029. They got to be willing to give up both of those picks. And if they're not willing to give up both of those picks, ultimately, if they do make the trade later on, they're probably going to have to give up more compensation that they would have to give up right now. So if you ask me, they need to be, really business savvy, and maybe pull the trigger a little bit quicker than they would like to on making this trade for Russell Westbrook, because I don't think the leverage is going to grow any greater on their side right now. If anything, the leverage, they're only going to lose leverage, and the more leverage that they lose, ultimately the more they're going to have to play. The more they're going to have to pay to get Russell off of their roster, and it's just, it's just not going to work out well for them. So, in my opinion, it's their best bet to just get rid of him now. Take the L, or whatever you feel as though that's going to come along with you getting rid of Russell Westbrook. You just gotta take it, roll with the punches, and you know what I mean. Go into this training camp fresh, with a fresh start, a fresh look, and with a team that you intend on having throughout the entire season. Because even if you do start the season with Russ, you don't expect to end the season with Russ, and that could throw a huge monkey wrench in the team's continuity and just everything that you're going to need to be an NBA contender, an NBA championship contender. So LA got a lot of moves that they need to make. They're a long way from being a contender. Even if they do make the Rush trade, and let's just say they're able to get Kyrie Irving, even with that acquisition, and you having Kyrie, LeBron, and AD, you're still going to have to make more moves, and they're going to have to be, spectacular moves for you to be able to make yourself a true contender and ultimately be able to hoist the trophy at the end of the year. It's a lot of work that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss and the rest of those guys have to do. They may be up for the challenge, but as far as from what I've seen so far, they're struggling big time, if you ask me. Last but not least, we got Russell Westbrook. As I stated earlier, I don't think Russell wants to be a part of the team no more as well. He wants to get back to doing what he's been doing. He wants to get back to, the last 4 out of 5 years winning those triple-double, being a triple-double machine, a guy who can do whatever he wants, put up as many shots as he wants, turn the ball over as much times as he wants without anybody, saying anything to him about it. That's just who Russell is. That's who he wants to be. Obviously, he fired his agent, and him and the agent wasn't seeing eye to eye on things. He's been Russ's agent throughout his entire career, and it's unfortunate that they, at this point in his career, couldn't come to an agreement as far as what was the best thing for Russ's career. And obviously, the coach believed that the best thing for Russ's career was to stay right there in LA and play for the Lakers. And this is obviously, Russ doesn't want to do that. Russ doesn't feel welcome. He doesn't feel like he belongs. And ultimately, like I said before, he wants to get back to doing what he's been doing, and he wants to prove other people wrong and say, I'm not washed up. I'm not this guy where I can't still put up triple doubles, and I still can't. I'm not a guy who can't average 30. I didn't lose a pep in my step. I didn't lose anything. It's all LA. It's all LeBron fault. It's all AD fault. And if you put me back in the same environment that I was in before, when I was in OKC and when I was in Washington and anything of that sort, I ain't gonna say Houston necessarily because that wasn't really his squad. Same thing with Bradley. That wasn't his squad neither with Washington. But he was just able to do what he wanted to do, and nobody was going to be able to check him about it. And that's ultimately why Houston got rid of him and why James Harden didn't want to play with him no more. And ultimately, that's why he left Washington as well. I think him and Bradley had a good relationship, but Washington knew better, and they said, yo, he can't help us win a championship. He has to go. We got to get rid of him. He's going to put butts in the seats. But we're already putting butts in the seat with Bradley Beal, and he got to go because he's not going to help us win a championship. And ultimately, they got better. If you ask me, since Russ has left the Wizards have gotten better, and the players they acquired off of that Russell Westbrook trade, it also helped them propel into the team that they are today. And I expect them to have more success this upcoming season than they had last season. So, with all of that being said, my take on it is Russell has to go if the Lakers want to be able to contend for an NBA championship this year. AD has to take his game up to the next level. LeBron has to be the same guy he was last year and maybe even a touch better. And Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, they got to get their head out of their ass and, make some real business moves, make some real business decisions, and get out here and start really hustling and not backstabbing motherfuckers and get some work done, man. Get some real work done. Make some real true key acquisitions that can put you in position to win a title. Because if you ask me, the title that they did win under Pelinka had nothing to do with him and everything to do with Magic Johnson. But he was the one to run Magic out the door. And ever since then, it's been a shit show. Obviously, they was able to win that chip that year with with everything going on with COVID and them playing in the bubble and everything, which I do feel as though that fitted the Lakers the best, just because they had LeBron James on their team as their leader. That situation fitted the Lakers the most. Even though everybody was in the same situation, everybody had to deal with the same elements, that team under LeBron James' guidance was the best and most prepared team, and ultimately that's why they won the NBA championship. Miami was right there next in line. They just didn't have enough as far as talent and experience on the team at the moment. So, ultimately they fell short. But, man, like I said, LA got a long way to go if they want to be contenders. Russ, I think his best move is to move on and probably go to another team and just, do whatever it is that he want to do. But at the end of the day, I don't know if any team actually wants him to come to their team and put up these triple-double stats and ultimately not really bring anything else to the table. I mean, he's probably going to put butts in the seats, and ultimately this is a business at the end of the day. But I don't know how well it's going to work out for Russ after this year of playing with the Lakers and everything that was displayed and highlighted throughout the season in the sense of all of his failures and his shortcomings. It was put on full display. So, I mean, he has a lot to prove to himself, and the expectations for him as far as him producing at a high level is very low at this point in time. So if he's able to even play at a half decent level, I expect people to give him his props. And only thing he got to really do is cut the turnovers out, and a lot of people will be a whole lot happier with his game. Even if he can't knock down the long range 3-point jump shot. If he can't knock down a 3-point jump shot, as long as he can cut back the turnovers, he'll be a deal-winnable player. But it's the fact of you turn the ball over at a high rate and then shooting such a bad clip at the from the 3-point line. It's like those two just don't mix with each other at all. And every bad 3-point jump shot you take is just like another turnover, because it's another loss of possession, and it's a very low percentage of you actually being able to make that shot. So it's like, I mean, you're killing them all the way around the board, and LA just can't afford to take those type of. They just can't afford to play that type of style and then still be able to walk away as NBA championships. I mean, as NBA champions. But man, that's my take on this. Take.